Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Fourth for Girl Show. I'm Ricardo.
I'm Courtney.
And I'm Michelle Martini, and want to remind you guys, Alex Segal, if you guys got on last week on Friday, challenged us to shop local. And so he's with Sam Pack's 5-Star Ford and Chevrolet of Carrollton. And basically, all you have to do, we're extending this challenge for a week, and all you have to do is go out, shop local. So this weekend's a great opportunity to do that. Post either the funniest or most unique way of shopping local, or post for supporting shopping local, and hashtag shop local. And the funniest and the most unique will be chosen for a $100 gift card that Alex and not that Sam Pax will sponsor. So you guys go out, shop local, support your local community, and put it out there and encourage other people to do the same.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. And in addition to this, happy birthday, Alex.
Yay! Happy
birthday. Happy birthday.
Yes.
Oddly enough, it fell on his birthday. So
Yes.
Fridays, we have been interviewing people, but we had a little miscommunication with today's guest. So we had to postpone and reschedule for 2 weeks from today. And we didn't really have time to pull someone else in. So I figured today we talk about being flexible.
Yes.
Ooh, how flexible are you guys? How flexible are you? For those of you listening out there, how flexible are you? And I'm not talking about being a gymnast and doing splits or back bends or anything like that, or yoga positions. I'm not talking about all that. I'm talking about when things don't quite go as planned. How flexible are you? Or are you totally stuck in one route, one plan, tunnel vision, where you can't see other routes or opportunities to do what it is that you have to do? And one of the biggest things is that you have to be flexible to be successful. You can't be rigid. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So comment below. Let us know what you think. Feel free to ask any questions or chime in on the conversation. And remember to like and share this post so we can get more feedback and get the conversation going on being flexible. And here we go, ladies. How
Yes.
flexible are you?
Oh, well, I stretched this muscle a lot lately, but I could do a lot better. So I still get some tension in my body when I hear it. I still get, I'm like, oh, why do I have to be flexible? So there's still that autopilot on for me, but working on it every day. When the more flexible I am, the more successful I am. So I know the formula. But what about you, Michelle?
I think we all know the formula.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Michelle.
I've always been pretty flexible. I think I do like structure. And when I'm not in structure or things throw off my structure, I have a hard time getting back in my groove. But I think I am a pretty flexible person. And same, I feel like the more flexible I am and the ability to go with the flow it makes me more successful in what I can do. So yeah,
Yes.
I think it goes right in line with the life happens for you and not to you. Whenever you can trust that life is happening for you and you go with that flow, it just sets you up for less anxiety, less stress, and more success.
Yeah.
For sure. And one of the biggest pitfalls that I've ran into in the past, and it's still a work in progress for me, is having what I call, or what I think people refer to, a one-track mind. Once you're set your sight on something and you lay out the route that you want to get there, it's sometimes very hard for me to break away from that. It's sometimes very hard for me to see. It's sometimes very hard for me to see the feedback because I'm getting feedback along the route and I have my blinders on, so to speak, and I don't see or recognize or acknowledge the feedback that would actually help me get there faster or in a more efficient way or ensure that I'm successful and not failing.
Yeah.
And it's a work in progress. It's tough because it's humbling. Part of this is you have to humble yourself and you can't be all about the ego.
Right. I know. The ego that will literally create problems just to solve them, just to have something to do. But you say it a lot nicer than I do, Ricardo. So this is actually a pattern that really helped me realize where I was not being successful for many years in my industry. But I had a death grip on this has to be how it works. It's just can only work this one way. And to be totally honest, I missed out on years on opportunity just because I refused to look to the left or to the right. And it, I would at this point would challenge to say the two parts of like being successful are show up on time, be flexible. Like if you do those three things consistently, like what could go wrong, truly?
I think that brings up a really great point, because one of the things that I've tried to do in my industry is being teachable. And that means being flexible. Like I can, one of the things in personal growth and development that we are taught constantly is proximity is power. So if you have a mentor who's been there and done it, you can learn and speed up your path to success so much faster if you're teachable and willing to set aside the way you think it should be done and look at how someone else has done it, and it can speed that path to success up. I want to point out, Jessie made a really good point. She said, if someone else is in charge, I am very flexible. If I'm in charge, then sometimes I have moments of not being flexible. I think that's a great point of, it depends on who's in charge.
Yeah.
Wow.
Especially for women.
Is that a big thing for the ladies?
Oh, yeah.
If there's a strong leader, then you're able to, is this the right word? Relax and follow, versus if it's a weak leader, you feel that they need to step up and take charge of the situation.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
I've gotten myself into trouble a few times for being the assumed manager that kind of took the leadership role just because I did not like my environment, which, the feedback tells me now, leave that environment. But complex. This is a complex for women kind of. Whereas if the other night Mike asked me what I want from a restaurant, I was like, I don't even know what restaurant. I don't care. Just pick me, get me what you get. And I'm usually very picky about what meals I get and, this, whatever dietary restrictions, but it's like, screw it. Who cares? Like, it's going to be delicious if that's what he picks. So I don't know, but there was such freedom in that moment of being like, I don't have to. Whereas if I'm planning dinner, I think it's a difference between like hunter and gather mode, honestly, kind of like that's a whole nother subject. But yeah, it's different parts of our brain are running the show, depending on if we're in the back seat or driving.
So there obviously there are going to be moments where you're comfortable in the back seat, and there's going to be moments where you're comfortable in the driver's seat. Where's that distinction for you guys, for you ladies?
Well, Jessie says when we have a strong leader, it's easier for us to follow. So I think your trust in your leader, that so if there's someone that's in charge or taking the reins and we trust them, I think that helps us to relax and follow or take their lead and be flexible in their leadership. But whenever they're not and we don't trust the outcome, then we want to take over, maybe.
Yeah.
So it is a relax. You're able to relax and follow along and be flexible and understand that you can go either route because it's okay. You're just there to support and help along the way.
Yes.
That's interesting to me because I'm trying to think of situations where I was flexible versus rigid. And maybe it's different for males in general because it's always this go charge. We have to go and charge. We have to go do this. And it has to be this way because I've laid out this plan, this beautiful Excel spreadsheet. I don't know why an Excel spreadsheet came to mind first, but that's what it is. But I've laid out this beautiful Excel spreadsheet with 25-step plan, and each step has 10 steps.
Yeah.
Of everything that has to happen in this particular order and in this particular way. And that's not very flexible. And guess what? Most of the time, it didn't work out. It did not work out.
How many times have your plans? Okay, wait, let me clarify this. You can plan the next step, but like we're talking planning the entire lifetime of your adventure. Okay. So how many times has planning that entire Excel spreadsheet actually paid off? like actually, versus where you could just plan the next step and just keep your eyes open for the next
never.
level,
Yeah.
So the example I always love to give is like, we can drive. Okay, so if somebody said drive across the country, you don't get a map quest, you don't get Maps Go for the old school folks, you don't get GPS, nothing. You would be nervous as all hell. If you were handed your own phone and told, okay, now drive from California to New York, you can only drive at night, you wouldn't be nervous because you would have the next step and you'd be able to see like 200 feet in front of you with your headlights. We can't see the whole path. We can just see 200 feet in front of us. And the GPS doesn't show you the entire path. It shows you the next level. So it's funny that technology's figured out how our brains work most efficiently, but we're still like, I don't know step 100. How am I going to do step 1?
Yeah, that's a really great point. For those of you just tuning in, we're talking about being flexible. We're talking about when you run into situations that you don't necessarily have control of, how flexible are you, and why it's important to be flexible if you plan on being successful, and why flexibility is really one of the key factors to being successful when you're running a project, leading a goal, or have a big initiative. So make sure you like and share, comment below. Let us know what your thoughts are on being flexible. Man, you guys are making some really great points. Michelle, what do you think? Have there been any instances where you guys were not flexible at all and it totally backfired and hit you in the face like a ton of bricks?
Yeah, I can't think of any specific example right now, but I know that that's happened countless times in my life. And I've learned the hard way through experience that you just have to be flexible and you have to trust the path. So if you are lining up your priorities, your moral compass, if you're lining up, to me, I say lining up with God's will. If I'm walking and making decisions according to God's will for my life, I have to be flexible because I might think I'm going over here and he might say, nope, you're going over here. And if I'm flexible, I'm going to go down the right path and things just happen. It's smoothly. They just work. But when I don't follow that, follow my gut, it's like square peg in a round hole, which is something I've talked about. I have that little Tupperware toy that's the blue and the red, and you pull it apart and it's got the yellow little puzzle pieces inside, the triangle, the circle. I have that in my office because it reminds me that if it feels like a square peg in a round hole, it is. It doesn't, you're not going the right path, but you have to be flexible and pay attention to where God leads you, because then everything just lines up. It truly does. I've lived it so many times, but you have to be flexible because it's almost always doesn't go like you think it's going to go.
So this is a great question and a great point. And I'll go to Courtney with this, or Michelle, whoever wants to answer. Where do values come in when it's time to be flexible? Where do your personal values come in when it comes to being flexible? I guess that's the only way I can answer. And I know that's a weird question and it's phrased really awkwardly because it feels weird when it came out. But you mentioned God, you mentioned religion, which is part of your values, part of your core values, if you will. And that's your compass on where you need to be flexible and where you don't need to be flexible. So overall, do values play a big role on flexibility? And if so, how so?
110%.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with Michelle. When I was not flexible in my life, I had not built my foundational values yet. Not in the true sense. In that I haven't, sometimes I refer to it as God. Sometimes I call it source energy. I ebb and flow with the two, but it's the same power that I know is there. So I know, okay, don't lie, don't cheat, don't put out bad karma. I don't know. So I have certain non-negotiables with myself, but aside from that, follow the feedback, follow the adventure of the day, follow the wisdom that is whispering to me that says, like, don't trust that person, don't go into business with that, or do this. And the more I trust it and the stronger my values get from practicing the trust of it, I'm flexible as all hell now, y'all. Like,
Yeah.
and I have such faith that it will work too. So I'm flexible, but it's the piece behind it that has made the biggest difference in my life. So I hope that made sense.
Yeah,
But,
and also if your morals and your moral compass, if you ignore that in your flexibility and you go down a path that you feel deep inside of you is wrong because it doesn't line up with your morals, then you've got that, my words aren't coming to me today. You've got that disconnect, and it creates anxiety and stress because you're not walking in the shoes that you're supposed to be walking in. And when you're not, it creates stress. And so I think that your morals or your values are very critical in your flexibility.
yeah.
That's interesting because it sounds to me what I'm hearing is that your moral values are your compass,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to be and honestly, also what I heard was you have to be flexible enough and brave enough to follow your moral values.
Yes.
Love that. You have to be brave enough to follow your moral values.
Yeah, because I have not before, and it has led down a path of destruction. Yeah. But every single time I follow my moral values and that internal, gut instinct, Holy Spirit, whatever you want to call it, when you follow that, it just flows and you feel good and you have that peace like Courtney talked about.
Yeah.
And just because it flows doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to work out the way that you want it to.
Not the way
Is
you
there
want
a correlation
it to, the
with
right
that?
way. I think it will work out the right way. It may not be how you want it to, but it's going to end up being right.
Yeah. And I don't know if a woman's instinct plays into this because I truly think males possess the same intuition. They just need to listen to it. But it's something that maybe 2-3 years ago, I maybe set a goal of like, this is who I want to be. And I had a few rock bottoms to hit before I'm that strong of a woman. I had a lot of deep, hardcore lessons I was trying to skip over that it's like, no, you need to actually do the real work to be able to. And now I'd say I'm finally stepping into the type of woman I know I am meant to be, but it was not without the work. And I'd say that is exactly what the work is. And then whenever you've done that, in the moment when you hear a thought or an idea or a gut feeling that your stomach's turning, like this is not a good deal, you walk away from it and you don't second guess it. Whereas before you built that, you second guess and you live in the what if and the regret. I think regret's BS because you wanted exactly that at some moment in time. So why are you bothering with it? But you live there versus just level up, on to the next adventure, on to the next lesson. And so that's powerful to focus on.
Yeah.
Because you'll grow really fast.
Real quick, let's go to the comments. Jesse says, I've learned when I'm flexible, I am less stressed and I am able to enjoy and be present in the moment.
Yeah.
So this is one thing we kind of touched on, but we didn't really go into deep. And since we're almost out of time, let's really dive into this real quick. How does being present in the present moment play with being flexible?
100%.
Yeah. 100%. If you're not in the present moment, you're not catching that inner voice, that whisper, like Courtney was talking about. You have to be present. You have to be aware. You have to be paying attention to see or feel. Really, it's not to see, it's to feel those signs or hear that whisper to lead you right.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense because if you're not in the present moment, you're either lingering in the past about something that happened and you're still harboring those feelings about it, or you're thinking about the future that hasn't happened yet. Which if you're in the past and or in the future, you're not in the present and you don't have that option to be flexible.
And it's just like your antenna's down. Like if you're not in the present moment, your antenna's down. So you won't hear the information, you won't anything, fill in the blank. But like when you're in the present moment, your antenna's up. So it's kind of like it's a whole nother idea. But yeah, that's how I think of like intuition. Put your antenna up. So same thing. So be in the present moment. It's a lot more simple way to say that. Breathe. Where are you? And all you have is right now. Like that's the quality of your life. Like right now, I love it when Michelle, that be where your feet are phrase. I always see her smiling face when I hear it. It's be where your feet are. All you have is this moment. And if you're anxious and anxiety ridden, that's your life. Yeah. If you're depressed, that's your life. If you're grateful in the moment, that's your life. You can change it.
It doesn't have to be. That's what something I've learned, and I wish so bad I could help people understand, is it doesn't have to be so hard. It really doesn't have to be so hard.
Right.
We make it hard on ourselves because we're not flexible.
Yes. Because we think we know what's best.
Yes.
Because we think we know what's best. Okay, real quick, for those of you just tuning in, we're talking about being flexible. We're talking about how you handle situations that don't necessarily go your way and how you adjust and be flexible, because we truly believe that being successful is part of success. So please make sure you comment below, let us know what you think, and like and share this video. Final question before we go there, real quick. Jesse says, no, it doesn't need to be hard. We make it hard on ourselves for sure. And Lori says, learned a huge lesson from yesterday and a major breakthrough. Boom. Aww. That's what life's about. It's all about learning.
Being flexible, because y'all did not have that. Lori and Ricardo, I got to, anyway, so long, and I got to see that. But yeah, this moment, not planned. I don't know if you went live randomly, Ricardo, but next thing you know, they're having a catch-up session together. And I don't know, life's special, you guys. Like, pay attention.
Yeah,
life is real special.
Real quick, for a couple of minutes before we wrap up today, where does fear play into flexibility?
That's a great
Where does fear play? Because I think when I'm thinking about not being flexible and being rigid, it's because I'm scared to explore the other side.
Yeah,
I'm scared to. There's a little hesitation because I don't know exactly what would happen if I derail my plan as I see it. Because it's the greatest plan, and it's not going to fail no matter what. But I don't have the foresight to kind of be flexible enough to look to the right or to the left. And I think part of that hesitation is fear.
The unknown is scary.
Yeah,
it always is. But you have to embrace it and step into it.
You have to embrace it.
It's awesome. It's scary, but it's awesome.
It's definitely scary to be flexible sometimes. It's scary to follow your values. There's a lot of fear that plays into that, right? The judgment. What are people going to think, and all these other things that are outside of us.
So there is a lot of fear. It's rewarding. There's a reward on the other side, whether that's growth, an opportunity, whatever. But it's scary because there's a reward attached to it. And I pat at the untethered soul just because ego, I would say fear is creating a problem, resistance, so you don't go after what you want. Ego's problem. Well, I'd say the ego's job is to make everything difficult. Not really. Like, there's some positive in there, but mostly it's just to give your brain a track to run. And the untethered soul just happens to be about that voice that is always running in your brain and always running in your brain. So a lot of the time it's fear. And when that's happening, I have to say, that track starts, I now know, okay, that's ego. Ego just wants to be invited to the party. So maybe give it a great tip I received once is give it a promotion. Make it feel special. It's the loud guy in the room. It wants attention. We're still talking about your ego, not you. So give it attention. Like, make it feel special. Like, make it the teacher's pet. You see what I'm saying? So you would be like, okay, no, ego, calling this person isn't going to kill me if they say yes or no. Fear of success, fear of failure, both are present in that moment. So just know that we just don't know the outcome. That's it. I'm not going to die. Nothing bad's going to happen. Whatever. And just push through it. And so just know you're not the only one there in your head. And it's just this. So that's what I would say about fear has to do with it. But
yeah, push that fear out of the way. Push that fear out of the way.
It's there to test you.
The fear is there to test you. Mm-hmm. You are correct. And I think that's another conversation, but you are definitely correct. The fear is definitely there to test you. Yes. So I think we're getting ready to wrap this up, ladies. So for those of you just tuning in, make sure you go back and watch the replay. We are talking about being flexible, how to open your heart up to be more flexible, and why it's important to be flexible if you plan on being successful. Again, please make sure you like and share this video. Follow our YouTube page, subscribe to our podcast, and for more information on that, you can visit forceforgrowth.com. All right, 15-second final wrap up. Michelle, flexibility.
Just be open to flexibility, and try to trust that things work out whenever you stay in line with that inner voice. When you stay in line with that inner voice, things are going to work out one way or another, maybe not like you want, but just be open to flexibility. The more that you do, the more that you are, the more that you learn and see that it's not so bad. And actually, sometimes it's pretty awesome.
Nice.
Yeah. To build on that, so yes, I would say stay plugged in, our word of the week, right? Plugged in to source energy, keep your antenna up, but literally being a successful human is one, you actually have to show up for yourself. So actually show up to the job, show up to the whatever, show up on time and be flexible. And if you do that, like, who can stop you? No one, because you're flexible, baby. Like, you got this. It's the magic sauce.
No one can stop you because you're flexible, baby.
Yeah.
Oh, for me, I have to say, be brave enough. Be brave enough to be flexible, because flexibility can show up in all shapes, forms, and sizes. One moment, flexibility might be speaking up and letting people know where you see a shortcoming. One moment, flexibility might show up where you have to step away from a situation. Flexibility is not a one size fits all. It's like slime. It comes in different shapes and sizes, and it can be molded in different places for different situations. So this is going to be a double entendre. I believe it's what this is called. But be flexible to be inflexible. Because it's not a one size fits all. Flexibility today, what it is today, may not be what it is tomorrow. So you got to be flexible. One size fits none. It's not one size fits all. Man, this was a really great conversation, ladies. I really enjoyed this. We'll be back next Friday with another special guest. And remember to enter to win a $100 gift card. We're extending this contest. Use hashtag #ShopLocal. Go out there and support these local businesses this weekend for your chance to win a $100 gift card. And this is sponsored by Sandpacks 5-Star Ford and Chevrolet of Carrollton.
And happy birthday, Alex. We love you.
Happy birthday, Alex.
Yes, happy birthday, Alex. Have a great day, everybody. And remember to stay flexible and stay strong. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.